For nearly 2,000 years Catholics paused at noon, wherever they were, to whisper 25 words that anchored their day. Then, almost overnight, the custom vanished. And what unseen strength did the faithful lose when those words fell silent? Today we're unearthing 10 forgotten habits, each carrying a hidden power that can still transform modern life. Some disappeared after Vatican II, others faded quietly under the glow of electric lights and crowded calendars, but all of them were once woven into the rhythm of everyday holiness. Stay with me because the seventh habit, buried deeper than the rest, might reshape the way you pray tonight. Let's begin where the bells used to ring and the world briefly bowed its head together. The first forgotten habit begins not in a church but in the middle of an ordinary workday. At exactly noon, bells once rippled across fields, kitchens, and cobblestone streets, and every hammer, ledger, and conversation paused for the Angelus. 25 simple words, "Be it done unto me according to thy word," reset the human heart, reminding farmers and merchants that history pivoted on a teenager's yes. When factory whistles replaced church towers and lunch breaks shrank to scrolling screens, the pause dissolved, and with it the permission to breathe. Yet hidden inside the practice is a quiet power. It sabotages the tyranny of productivity and recenters identity on surrender, not output. Tomorrow, set a phone alarm for 12:05, silence the notifications, inhale once, and whisper the Angelus line. Notice how 90 seconds can loosen your shoulders, widen your horizon, and stitch eternity back into the fabric of a frantic afternoon each day. That midday pause also trained the body to remember with hunger, which leads us to the second forgotten habit, year-round meatless Fridays. For centuries every Friday echoed Good Friday. From royal banquet halls to village huts, no one touched flesh out of reverence for the crucified. In 1966 American bishops relaxed the rule, offering other penances, and convenience culture quickly devoured the discipline. Hidden inside the abstinence was a subtle power, teaching desire to obey conscience rather than craving while linking dinner plates to the cross. Saying no to bacon on an ordinary Friday whispers yes to freedom, solidarity, even ecological stewardship. This week skip the burger, calculate what the meal would have cost, and funnel those dollars toward a food pantry or a friend behind on rent. Discover how a growling stomach can preach louder than a podcast and how generosity can flavor food you never actually eat today. From the dinner table we move toward the wardrobe, where another vanished signal of devotion once brushed against countless hearts, the brown scapular. Two postage-sized panels of wool, joined by cords and resting across chest and back, were as common as wedding bands among factory workers, nobility, and schoolchildren worldwide. Fashion tilted minimalist, suspicion of Catholic trinkets grew, and the scapular slipped into drawers like pressed flowers in an old missal. Its hidden power, however, was never magical but mnemonic. Each itch of the wool whispered, "You belong, you are covered, covenant surrounds you." A tangible theology that cloth can preach when lips forget. Find one online or cut rectangles from scrap fabric, bless them with a simple prayer, and tuck the strip beneath your shirt. Then notice how posture straightens, decision steady, and an otherwise ordinary day feels quietly wrapped in a timeless, silent promise that outlasts every trend. From what we wear to where we walk, the fourth forgotten habit stands above every doorway, the Epiphany chalk blessing. Each January 6th, families trace the year and the initials of the Magi while praying, Christus Mansionem Benedicat, may Christ bless this house. Urban leases, fresh paint clauses, and fewer parish visits dimmed the custom, leaving frames blank where prayer once glowed. The hidden power remains. Chalk turns an address into an altar, reminding residents that every laugh, argument, or midnight snack unfolds inside a story bigger than themselves. This week gather a stub of white chalk, whisper the ancient line, and mark the lintel, even invisibly with water if landlords object. Step back and feel the threshold shift beneath your feet. Corridors become pilgrimage paths, rooms become chapters, and you, simply by crossing the line, practice entering ordinary life with the reverence usually reserved for cathedrals. Crossing that blessed threshold each January leads us straight into the sanctuary itself, where habit number 5 once united tongues across continents. Latin responses at Massachusetts. Before the 1960s, every voice, from Kenyan farmer to Irish schoolgirl, answered the priest with the same syllables, Et cum spiritu tua. Vatican II's vernacular reform opened doors of comprehension, but an unintended side effect was the loss of audible mystery. The hidden power of Latin is not nostalgia, it is communion. Saying words older than nations reminds worshippers that the church is bigger than their parish, older than their language, and destined for a praise that transcends culture. This Sunday learn just one ancient line. Sanctus, 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 and sing it softly under your breath. Feel time stretch, borders blur, and the mass around you widen into a cosmic chorus where saints and strangers stand shoulder to shoulder beneath the same timeless melody that hums beneath language everywhere. From the language of heaven we descend to the confessional, the quiet booth many Catholics now visit only when guilt erupts. Yet habit number 6 once placed confession before every communion. Weekly lines curled around church walls. Priests heard sins until candles burned low. Then the language of sin softened, schedules tightened, and the sacrament shrank to an annual checkbox. The hidden power is a psychological reset wrapped in absolution. Naming darkness aloud breaks its spell. Receiving mercy entirely realigns heart and altar. This month, schedule a confession whether or not you feel dramatic remorse. Write your sins on paper, whisper them, shred the list, and walk out lighter than logic allows. Notice how the next Mass feels different, how the words, "Behold the Lamb," land deeper. A soul freshly laundered can taste grace more clearly, proving that freedom is not forgetting sin but letting love rewrite its final line forever. Night settles, and habit number 7 rises with the stars, praying the liturgy of the hours. For centuries monks and merchants alike paused 7 times to lay scripture through the fabric of time, but as prayer books grew bulky and work shifts lengthened, the practice retreated behind cloister walls. Its hidden power is rhythmic oxygen for the soul, pockets of psalm-soaked silence that stitch dawn to dusk in gratitude. They keep eternity within reach of ordinary people in any century. Begin with Compline, the day's final breath. Silence the phone, whisper Psalm 91, trace the sign of the cross, and entrust unfinished to-do lists to the keeper of nights. The ritual lasts 3 minutes, yet it resets anxiety as surely as melatonin and teaches sleep to become surrender rather than escape. Download a free app, set a 9:45 p.m. reminder, and let ancient voices tuck you in, and peace will linger till morning. From nightly prayer we slip a small reminder into daylight pockets. Habit number 8, carrying holy cards and relic medals. Long before smartphones, believers kept a saint's image beside coins and keys. Each glance or jingle nudged memory toward heaven. Minimalist wallets and digital devotionals pushed the practice aside, but its hidden power endures. Tactile mentoring. A glossy card of St. Joseph in a lunchbox, a medal brushing against change, turn errands into pilgrimage. They teach that holiness travels, that the sacred can rattle inside commuter trains and checkout lines. Print a favorite icon, laminate it, or set a medal on your key ring. Each time your hand bumps the medal, whisper a 10-second prayer. Notice how anxiety on hold music drops, how waiting rooms become chapels and city sidewalks alike. Faith that fits in a pocket refuses to hide. It slips into every moment and rewrites the map of the day. When dusk settled on patronal feast days, entire villages once poured into narrow streets, every hand cupping a fragile flame. This candlelight procession, habit number 9, wove hymns, incense, and dancing shadows into a moving cathedral. Over time, fire codes, heavy traffic, and overscheduled parishes extinguished those rivers of light. Yet the ritual's hidden power remains. It turns doctrine into choreography, darkness into canvas, and anonymous neighbors into a breathing choir. Carrying vulnerable fire teaches fragility, walking together teaches solidarity, singing under open sky teaches hope. To revive it, gather 2 friends on the next Marian feast, light small tapers, and walk a single block while reciting the Magnificat. Cars may stare, but your heart will feel ancient rhythms rise. Even 10 quiet minutes reclaim pavement as sacred ground and remind the night that it has never truly mastered the light. Let wax drip, let voices quaver, yet keep marching beneath the stars. Once a year, Catholic families crossed iron gates and gravel paths to pray at the graves of loved ones and strangers. Habit number 10, the All Souls' Day cemetery visit, has withered under urban sprawl and the scattering of relatives across continents. The hidden power lies in confronting mortality without fear and weaving communion between the living and the dead. Walking among headstones teaches humility. Reading worn names whispers that every success will one day fit on a stone 6 inches tall. This November 2nd, locate the nearest cemetery, even if no ancestor rests there. Bring a small candle, recite the eternal rest prayer, and sprinkle holy water on an unvisited grave. If distance or mobility prevents you, scroll an online memorial site and pray the same words. Let the silence remind you that heaven's citizenship begins on earth, and that remembering the forgotten widens the heart to eternity ever and always. Leaving the cemetery, you might feel the weight of time settle on your shoulders. 10 forgotten habits now echo in your memory like bells across a valley. What do they reveal? that holiness is never an abstract theory. It is a rhythm stitched into meals, fabrics, doorways, languages, confessions, nightfall, pockets, streets, and even the silent company of the dead. Traditions fade, but the human hunger for meaning does not. Choose one practice, just one, that tugs at your heart right now. Maybe it is the noon Angelus, or Compline before bed, or lighting a candle on a silent sidewalk. Write the number in the comments and tell us why. Your small decision can spark courage in someone scrolling below, and together we will rebuild living memory one habit at a time. Pick a date, set a reminder, gather a friend, and promise to try the habit for 7 days. During that week, track moments of surprise, resistance, and delight. Notice how your mind shifts, how your conversations soften, how your sleep deepens. Then return here and share what you found. If you prefer, journal the experience privately. If you dare, invite your family to join the experiment. The journey begins now. Thank you for walking this path of remembrance with me. If these habits stirred your soul, imagine what reviving even one could do for a friend who feels faith has grown thin. Tap the share arrow and send this video to the lapsed Catholic, the curious agnostic, or the busy parent who barely breathes between meetings. Light travels fastest when we pass it hand to hand. While you are here, hit subscribe and ring the bell, because our next episode uncovers a medieval mystic who could read hearts across oceans. Finally, remember, power hides inside small, repeatable acts. Bells at noon, wool on skin, chalk on wood, flame in the night, a whispered prayer before sleep. Each is a seed. Plant it, water it, and watch how God turns habit into harvest. Until we meet again, may the forgotten rhythms find their way back into your days, and may you discover the hidden power waiting quietly in plain sight. Leave a thumbs up if you felt even a spark, because the algorithm is our digital bell tower, ringing others to prayer today.